is your moment. You better own it. This is your moment. With Kaz on the radio. If you ready, then let's go. It's never been done before.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy Kaz. Welcome to the Podcast Show. Y'all get it? Pod, and my name is Kaz. And today we have a young lady, Niatika Griffin. Niatika, did I say that name right? Niatika?
Yeah, Niatika. Yeah, that's
okay. Well,
pretty good for your first try.
Welcome to the podcast. You know, you have to have 1 million views to get on my podcast, so you must be you must be really dope right now for being on my podcast. Always get on podcast of mine. You gotta be shooting 1 million views. So anyway, no, that was a joke. But welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the support.
Hey, look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I read your book. I ran across your book, and I was like, you know what? Let me check this book out. Somebody put me on to this book.
Oh, bless them.
Yeah, and I was like, let me get in touch with her and see would she come on my podcast to promote her book. Look, you got some great stuff going on in this book, and I want to touch a couple of things on your book about what I read and stuff. But look, this book is called "You Got This, Sis: Staying Out of Debt." Period. Now look. Period. So what made you write this book? First off, Miss Griffin.
Truth be told, I've been trying to service the entrepreneur industry for some time now, as far as giving back service. So if you don't know, maybe you should know because you read the book, that I'm a mathematician by trade. So with that said, I was just trying to find a way to give back financial information to the community that was less privileged. Due to my schedule, I'm a single mom, and I was full-time mom and working full-time. That made it nearly impossible to target entrepreneurs on a single basis and actually go and do outreach that way. So once things slowed down and I started to implement a program for my job, I said to myself, like, you know what, you could probably write a book, package the information there and reach a wider audience. And at the time, I was thinking about my debt-free journey. And I said, you know what, this is probably a good platform. That's probably a good starting target audience. So I kind of moved away from the entrepreneur mindset, target audience, excuse the background, and said, I'm going to focus on single mothers because when I was doing my debt-free journey, I was a single mother. And I thought it was probably a good starting point to target ladies and saying, hey, you can do this. Even with a mathematics background, I still had to apply discipline. And it wasn't easy. And I thought it was, again, an interesting story to tell.
Okay. So
hopefully you thought the same.
I'm reading your title and you said you got this, sis. Are this specifically for women or, do the title got for men too?
No, so of course, when we talk finances, right, the topic is universal, right?
Okay.
Board. So ideally, again, as I just mentioned, because I was a single mother going through my journey, I figured that is a good, target audience, meaning, okay, it's for the women. I'm hoping that the women will embrace the book, but all in all, when you're talking numbers, it's applicable across the board. So just something catchy, again, for the ladies. But again, yes, clearly you have the book, you found, some of the stories interesting, some of the facts, interesting. And again, the idea was to simplify one of the, I believe, toughest subjects, out there. In a humorous form.
Cool. Now, help me understand, when I read in your book, help me understand your spreadsheet. That was very interesting to me, the spreadsheet.
So
what
go ahead. No, I was gonna say it's funny you use the word, the adjective like interesting. I'm like, really? Truth be told, I do think it's really just a basic spreadsheet in so many terms, but I do find it interesting, and I still to this day operate off of a spreadsheet. And basically, I just accounted for every dollar via a spreadsheet. I mean, some folks use pen and paper, but again, because of the nature of my business, I'm comfortable with spreadsheets. I do all of my calculations manually, but I do, for my clients, I automate the spreadsheet so that way they only have to enter in certain cells to do the calculations. But anywho, like I said, I'm a cool geek and I don't mind doing the manual calculations. But yeah, I do all my basic household accounting via a spreadsheet.
Cool, 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 cool. Because excuse me, I was reading the spreadsheet and I was like, okay, I'm trying to understand it. I'm not a spreadsheet person. So give our viewers some advice if you're not a spreadsheet person. Like what else tools that we can use?
As I mentioned, you can use paper and pencil, right? I mean, whatever your iPhone, whatever you're comfortable with. The idea is that you account for every dollar that's coming in and going out of your house, period. So your method is on you. For me, like I said, I'm comfortable with spreadsheets. So it was kind of, natural for me to kind of go in and log my entries using a spreadsheet. But occasionally I will pull out a notebook. I think I initially started with maybe a notepad and, jotting stuff down. Because again, I don't walk around with a computer. So sometimes I'm using paper or my phone to make notes to account for like spending, that I didn't account for additionally, So I would use, whatever's convenient. And I would do the same and your viewers do the same.
Yeah, that spreadsheet in that book, you put a little piece in it and I was like, okay, all right. And I think they got spreadsheets on the phone that you can plug in or apps that you can plug in too. I think, but they should. It's 2021. I know they got something like that.
I'm a little old school, so I have to believe that, yeah, they most likely do have something out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nothing like old school Excel.
Okay. Now, in this book, I read about how you just took your finances. Actually, you took control of your whole life of finances. And when I say life, that means your kids, everything. Tell the people, now this is in the book, but just kind of sum it up. Like when I read it, y'all got to check this out because when she breaks it down, how she had to take her kids and cut all of the kids' expenses, which is the phone. I mean, I was like, whoa, 2021, how that's going to work? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first, let me say, so initially, the book was released August 2020. I wrote this some time ago, but again, to your point, my kids don't run the household, right? No, and I was very fortunate, and I still am very fortunate. My children are very good, kids. They're teenagers now, of course, but I started very early, as you read in the book, exposing my children to finances, to some of the miseducation of mathematics / financial math in the world, like going to business. Again, as I illustrate in the book, I show them, and I started very early. I started accounting drills and what have you. So likewise, when it's time to lock down is what I referred to in the book and say, okay, we're cutting everything. We're going to shut down for 3 or 6 months, depending on, what was going on. And, like I said, when we show back up, we show out. And I think
3 to 6 months. How did your kids, I mean, what did you have to do? What do you mean shut down? Like, did you cut the cell phone bills off? I mean, tell me.
No, I mean, shut down, there's no spending. So, I'm not proud of this, but, at some point, my children and I would blow, $300-400 a weekend just on entertainment. And I think part of that was my guilt of, being so busy during the week and I don't have a lot of time to spend with them. So on the weekend, we would ball out, so to speak. And then once I embarked on the debt-free journey, I was like, you know what? Again, I was transparent. I let them count, my transaction, my daily, bank transactions and, whatever bills. I expose them because, again, I'm trying to set them up for real life and to make decisions. Even though I have the final say, I do consult them, even as, young adolescents. I just like, what do you think about this? If I had to do this and I had to pay this, again, critical thinking is important. I recognize that early. So I tell my kids they should do a podcast or write a book on my, but I'm sure they're going to thank me later. But anywho, so yeah, we would go spending. At one point we were spending. And then when I said we're cutting everything off, we just did not spend. We're talking beans and rice, ramen noodles, taking it back, to my hood days. And we
beans and rice.
Beans and rice. We cut the food budget. I mean, we're talking white tablecloth situations and just being real carefree with money. And I just kind of put everything on pause and showed them like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And, my children trust me. They know I would never steer them wrong. And they just said, okay, no pushback, like, okay.
Wow. Now, okay, I understand that. But today's generation, whew, do you think that would work? Are you single? Are you a single parent?
Yes, I am a single parent.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Do you think that would work for in this day's time with a single parent with kids to do that type of shutdown, a cut off?
If COVID didn't teach you anything, discipline should be key, right? That should be the top of your list, your top 5, discipline, right? You had nothing, everything was shut down. You were forced to interact with your family and to think and hopefully learn and teach yourself something new. So on that note, it's non-negotiable. And again, I know I'm a little more headstrong than probably most. And when I put my mind to something, Team Virgo, it's a go. It's no looking back. So again, once you decide that this is for you and this is your journey to take, and it's very personal, but once you make that decision, you have to be willing, as I illustrate in the book, there are no Miami trips. You can't be out hanging out with the cousin or the homegirls that, want to spend. You have to literally lock down. And if your willpower is shaken by your peer group, you gotta shut everything down. So that same thing goes for the children. You have to express and like, listen, I'm trying to set you up for success. I'm trying to purchase you this or that, whatever that motivation is. Again, that's probably one of the first things you should do is establish, your purpose in life and what's motivating you to start this journey, because that's more likely going to keep you going, right? So on that note, I don't know, close out. On that note, it's non-negotiable. It's not even like, what can they do? What will they do? Can it be done? It will be done. If you say that's what it is, then that's what it is.
That's what it is. Woo. Well, look, okay, let's move forward. I have a question. Do you believe as a financial guru, mentor coach, financial guru, do you believe in a person filing for bankruptcy?
I do not.
Wow.
Now, of course, there are situations where folks will probably advise, individuals to file for bankruptcy, but I think there's a way out of any situation. It may not be easy, but there's a way out. And as long as you have income coming in, or you are a healthy, able body, you can make this work. Again, you have to assess where you are in life. What are you potentially trying to purchase in the future? I mean, there are a few underlying factors, that will go into actually making that final decision. But I personally am not an advocate for filing bankruptcy. I think it's the easy way out. You put yourself potentially on hold for 7 years or so. It's just like, why? Why do that? I mean, and again, a lot of this behavior, has to be corrected, right? So you don't feel the pain if you take the bankruptcy route. You need to buckle up, sit down, and pay off this debt. You accumulated it, right? Again, you're not the trust fund baby where you think you just blink this stuff away. So I think you have to hold yourself accountable and handle your business. It's like, don't try to run away from it. You created the debt, you were irresponsible with it. So now it's time to do the responsible thing and pay it back.
Nice. Let's talk about credit. Now, when I read your book, I came across the credit thing, and I was like, well, now that's a very important thing is credit. Listen, if you got good credit, life is good for you. Life is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you a little story. My business manager, older guy, I mean, he's probably in the 70s, and this guy, he owned when I was living in Philly, he owned a mechanic shop, but he had in his garage this old Mercedes.
Okay.
The Mercedes was old, but he just had it sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And he only had 15,000 miles on it. So I'm sitting here like, his name was Jim, rest in peace, Jim. But I was like, Jim, why you just got a car sitting back there? And he taught me a valuable lesson about value. That car worth a lot of money. And he said, when I got this car, I got it off credit. I didn't have to put nothing down. They just gave it to me. And I let that car sit for years. He had another car. Remember, he was a mechanic, so he had different cars. And he built his credit. He said, I got a letter in the mail saying you are probably something that's a number, I can't remember the number, in the whole wide world who has A1 credit. He has a yacht, but his job was just a mechanic. And I was like, Jim, your credit can get all of this.
Don't be shading, Jim.
So how do you, I read in your book, mm-hmm. How do you learn how to work the system to your advantage?
That's a good question. How do you learn to work the system to your advantage? I don't think I necessarily view it that way, working the system. More so
that was in your book.
No, learning. Thank you. Well, if that's the case, can you
how do you learn?
No, go say, can you
how to work the system
I would think
your advantage? That was your words.
Are you quote? Is that a direct quote?
That's a direct quote. You want me to go to the page?
Could you please? Because I'm off the. Here's my off the cuff.
Anyway, y'all, this is the book right here. Let's go to the book. And I just want her to explain that, because when I read it, I was like, okay, how can I learn?
So my initial reaction to that, unless you find the quote, is that you don't beat the system per se, but you learn the system. It's important to learn the system, how it works, how it's calculated. That's why I say I don't know. Please quote me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm always been an advocate for education. So I'm assuming that if I did say that, which I doubt, I meant to learn the system, and that means knowing what components make up a credit score and which areas that you need to work on, first. That is the chapter.
You can't see it, but you said my credit score has never been rated lower than fair. Once I learned how to work the system to my advantage, my credit has always been on point at the time of need. Now, when I read that, I was like, Lord, I need to know.
Oh, okay. So that reference, because that wasn't necessarily a directive, that reference that I was referring to at the time was meaning when it's time to make a purchase. So I purchased vehicles or houses or whatever. It's all about timing. So for me, when I say work the system, meaning when I'm going through this journey, sometimes I'll say, I don't have it, or I ain't got it, right? I always say, you'll get it when I get it, even if I had it. So the idea is that you yourself first and then shortchange everybody else. Don't break your neck to pay everybody else and then shortchange yourself. So I would go through that. Even if I had it, I just wouldn't pay folks because I had other things I was attending to. So I would play that game year, maybe a year at a time. But when I know I'm about to make a large purchase, i.e. a vehicle, property, or whatever that may be,
Okay.
I don't spend, and then I start playing around. Now I'm checking my credit, like, okay, where am I at? Okay, now let me play this, let me pay this off or whatever, so I can get a maximum amount of points. So now, again, it still kind of ties into learning the system, what component makes up the bulk of your score, and then attacking that so that way you can generate the most amount of points so you can, make that purchase. Basically, I was a little reckless at one point in time, but then I down and did the quick math to make it work.
Well, how do you feel about people borrowing money?
If you can pay it back, that's what credit is about.
I read in your book. I read in your book about borrowing money. And usually you said something in your book that usually if they have to borrow it, then most likely they can't pay it back.
Oh, you're talking about the local borrowing. I thought you meant like borrowing in general. You're talking about that family member or two that I was.
Yeah.
That's different. So it's just the mindset. If you don't have it to give, don't lend it, right? You're not going to just let folks borrow money. And again, if you're on your debt-free journey, your cousin, mama, whoever, approaching you saying, hey, let me hold something or let me borrow.
But they know you got it.
They may do, but it's not your job to right? And you
they
probably
know you got it because they know you shut down and you saving.
No, see, that's another thing. You don't broadcast your business. So no, again, that's a personal journey. And that's one thing my kids will tell you. What goes on in this house stays in this house. No one knows our business but us.
Gotcha.
Question children. So if anybody asking you about what you say, I don't know, ask my mom. Don't play that.
Yeah.
Not secretive, but I am private. And so on that note, no one in my family knew what time it was. They didn't know whatever. I just would show up with stuff and do whatever. I don't make any announcement what I'm doing because it's not to, showboat for them. It's personal. So no, it's just one of those, you have to be strong, and not even allow folks to borrow money. But if you're going to, take that path, make sure you have it to give and you don't be hounding them, for the whatever amount of money that you lent out.
Last question on this credit thing.
Okay.
How often should a person check their credit?
I think so. Again, I'll give you the standard, right? So you're allotted one free credit report, and I have the web address in the book, a year. But again, if you're concerned about maybe identity theft, or if you're looking to make a large purchase in the near future, then you probably should check it pretty frequently.
Okay.
Equation, as far as okay, you have to do it every 3 months, every month. But just know that, if you have a nice mix of debt, then those bill collectors or debt collectors will report at different times of the month. So again, it's the monitoring becomes crucial when you're looking to make a significant purchase, and then you start to monitor, but knowing that, they only report a certain time in the month. And when you make your payment and all that, like I said, I try to express that in the book. All of the timing is important, because you're checking it every Monday, you're not checking at the right time in the month, you won't see, increasing your score. So.
Ms. Griffin, listen, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on a podcast. Look, I hope you can come back, and share some more great information about this great book right here. Listen, y'all, go out and grab the book. You know me. I wouldn't tell you to go do nothing if I haven't experienced or read it. I'm actually doing a couple of things in this book as we speak. So, Ms. Griffin, thank you. How could our viewers get in touch with you? Do you have a website or anything?
I do, and thank you for that. No, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate the support. Your viewers can reach me on Instagram at Analytic Virgo Writes, all one word, no space, and TikTok, Analytic Vigo, and Analytic is ANALYTIC, V as in Victor, GO. Or you can email me at analytics, V as in Victor, services with an S at the end at gmail.com. if you're trying to secure like personal services.
All right. Well, thank you. Yo, y'all go check her out. Again, check her out. I'm promoting people businesses on the podcast. Check her out. It says, "You got this, sis. Staying out of debt." So, Ms. Griffin, before we leave, tell us about your session flyer that you have that is posted now. Explain to our viewers what's going on here and what we need to do.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. And thank you for reminding me. So right now, I am actively promoting a one-on-one series for $75 where you would sit down with me, whether you're interested in a spreadsheet or not. I can start off with the spreadsheet, but basically walk through the 5 easy steps to get you started on your debt-free journey. I also, on that same flyer, promote merchandise. I sell shirts, bookmarks, notebooks, etc. You'll see that on the flyer as well. And I also offer a 5-step video series where I kind of illustrate the 5 steps and provide information for those who miss like some of my Eventbrite activities.
Thank you. Hey, I check y'all out. Listen, thank y'all for hanging out with us on the podcast. We'll be coming back with you with some most dope stuff and, kind of promoting our Black businesses, or you don't have to be Black, but, Black businesses. Anyway, all right. Peace. We out, y'all.
This is your moment with Kaz on the radio. If you ready, then let's go.